I feel like I'm a pretty outgoing person when it comes down to it. I'm I love making friends, I guess, and I also do a lot of community service, obviously outside of school whenever I have free time. I don't have a lot of free time because swim and school do take up a lot of it, but from a young age, I guess I've just always kind of been that person. My parents have always told me to treat people the way you want to be treated, and I've always, like with my parents, they've always told me to give back when I can. And even though I don't benefit anything out of it, it's still nice to know that other people are getting benefits out of something that I do.
Tressie Polk is a senior swimming athlete at River Ridge High School in Cherokee County on the northwest side of Atlanta. While she's a very skilled, high-level swimmer, she's also one of the most compassionate and community-oriented kids you'll ever meet.
Tressie works extremely hard, and she likes to see other people do well. She isn't one who likes to be in the spotlight and gets all the attention. She would rather her teammates do well. She's someone who will give up anything to have others do well. And she doesn't want the attention that comes with being a leader. She just would rather everyone watch her and know what to do from her actions.
Tressie has always been has always put others first. For as long as I can remember, she's from the time we started serving in church when she was around 4 or 5 years old. And a little girl standing in front of the church crying, and Tressie's wanting to make her stop. She wants to go up and hug everybody. She doesn't meet a stranger. You try to tell your children you can't talk to strangers, but there are no strangers to Tressie. Everybody has a heartbeat, and everybody needs to be loved, and that's Tressie.
Big heart, outgoing, hilarious at times, serious most of the time. Wears her heart on her sleeve. I mean, she just absolutely tries to perform for everybody and make everybody happy.
One of the coolest things about Tressie Polk is the unique ways she gives back to her community, specifically to folks battling cancer. Several years ago, Tressie happened upon a need for hats for women and children that had lost their hair due to chemo treatment, and with the help of her parents, Tressie sprang into action.
That project kind of stemmed off of my mom's coworker. One day she was knitting hats and stuff, and I was like, oh, well, why are you doing that? And she said that one of her friends had cancer and just found out that recently, and she wanted to make hats for her. And I was like, oh, well, there's other kids and there's other people that need the same thing, so why don't I just get a bunch of people to make hats, and then I can just distribute them as I can and give them to these people that need them. So that's kind of how my child brain worked it out. I kind of made one tiny thing and made it into a giant, I guess, problem, not really problem, but like a giant solvent.
While they don't know the total number, Tressie and her family estimate that she's collected somewhere between 500 and 700 hats for folks battling cancer. But that's not all that Tressie does for this afflicted community.
The one that I work with most, that is my my pride and joy, my absolute favorite one that I've done, which is Coloring the World, or now recently we've changed the name to Share the Color, which is where I donate art supplies to children's hospitals. From what I can remember, it started from me talking to one of my friends that was recently in the hospital, and she wasn't at a children's hospital, so it wasn't the same atmosphere as a children's hospital would be, and she didn't bring coloring books, didn't bring really anything because they didn't expect her to be in the hospital and didn't expect her to be in there for long. So then I was like, well, I like all these things. I bring all my coloring books everywhere I go, which was true. I would bring them everywhere I went. So why don't I take that concept, have my parents help me with it, and try and get some coloring books to like kids that don't have them in hospitals? Because again, with the hats thing, you don't really ever think about bringing that stuff whenever your child is in need. So every year I've started it up at school, started it up around the community, and hearing the fact that children get to have that joy from something that's so small, that is like $1 at the dollar store, makes me smile, because it's something that you wouldn't think about.
Over the course of its operation, Share the Color has donated over 15,000 art supplies to children's hospitals. And Tressie plans to grow the initiative even bigger as she heads to college next year.